Famcast Media, bitch!
Good evening, demons and demonesses. The name's Kwame, and you're watching another episode of Satanic Panic.
Good evening, demons and demonesses. Kwame Wahkan here, and I just got out of an interview with Aria DiMezzo, High Priestess of the Reformed Satanic Church and Republican candidate for sheriff. Now, I know it's kind of weird seeing me in color, and I know it's kind of weird seeing me with all these bloody microphones. I want to apologize about the terrible audio quality that you hear right now. Unfortunately, my sound mixer died like halfway through the interview, and I had to quickly just switch everything around and change the settings and change the audio source and all that other stuff. And also, this is my first interview, so I was a little, I think I was a little bit more nervous than Aria. But in spite of all that, I think we had a really great conversation, and to be honest, I learned a lot from her, especially, in regards to, cryptocurrency. That's something I haven't really done too much research on, and I will admit that's something I'm extremely ignorant on, and I need to read up more about, because it seems pretty interesting. Turns out me and Aria have a lot more in common than what I thought. And she's definitely someone that I need to speak to again, especially in regards to, Satanism. Perhaps when fate brings us together again, have a nice long talk about Satanism. But enough about all my rambling. I present to you Aria DiMezzo, Republican candidate for sheriff and High Priestess of the Reformed Satanic Church. Oh, hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Actually, just had a sign vandalized, so I actually just came down here to check my phone to see if you responded because I was upstairs installing a new security camera.
Oh, yeah, after I heard about what happened to the car, I'm like, oh, bloody hell, don't tell me another one of these crazy conservative Christians did something again.
It's quite possible. I don't know who did it, but I'm going to have the camera out there now, and I will be able to drag them online on video when it happens again, because it will happen again. This is the second one that's, gone missing.
These I swear, these conservative Christians, they really don't know when to give up, do they?
No, they don't.
I'm actually really happy because of this, because I'm pretty sure you must have really triggered them by this. I mean, just imagine, a transgender person and then also, a priestess. Oh, look at the little kitty.
Yeah. Sorry. Just about every video stream that I've done from my music studio here, the cats have put themselves in.
Yeah, I don't mind the cats. I got a daughter myself. She's currently laying on the bed sleeping.
Oh.
Say hi, Shao. Yeah, she might wake up a little bit later.
Okay.
So, let's get this a little started. I didn't want to take too much of your time. I know you probably got a really busy schedule.
Actually, today...
Oh, say what now?
Actually, today has been pretty open, pretty relaxed.
Oh,
so,
yeah, same here. I mean, I was glad they gave me the day off, too, so...
Yeah, I unfortunately have to work today. This is normally my day off, but due to staffing issues, I have to work.
I know how that is. I'm always the guy they call in whenever they need help.
Yeah.
So, quick question. I kind of wrote down a bunch of talking points here.
Sure.
Just explain to me, what you are and what you do.
Well, I am a anarchist, trans, Satanist, metalhead. There's an ever-increasing list of adjectives here that people are using for me, and I think it's great because I think the cryptocurrency world is going to be the next one to really just take my story and run with it. But I ran for... Sorry, there goes the other cat.
No, it's no... Hey, my audience loves animals.
I am the nominee for the Cheshire County Republican Party for the position of sheriff. And everything, yeah, I know, I can't say that without spelling, because everything about it is great. I'm like the anti-Republican. And and they made me their nominee because they just blindly went in there and voted for me.
Yep. That's the problem with voting these days. Everyone just wants to look at the ballot without actually meeting the politicians themselves. You know.
I saw someone post on Twitter today, a leftist, saying that he was going to vote straight Democratic ticket, and I was like, okay, you're the reason that I'm the nominee for sheriff here. You are part of the problem. You've got to research. I mean, we're deciding who is going to rule over people, who is going to have power over others, and people are voting for these people to hold these positions knowing absolutely nothing about them.
Exactly.
And that's terrifying.
And it's something you see all across party lines, whether it's Democrats, people just voting blue no matter who, or, just voting red. And I'm like, voting blue no matter who isn't good, because sometimes they might, install someone who's like extremely homophobic or extremely racist. You got to meet your politicians, ask them, the tough questions, shake their hand, actually get to know them. But I don't know. I think people are just.
Victory is.
Oh, go ahead.
I think the victory is a great example of why we need anarchy, because, I mean, clearly 4,000 people went into the booth and they voted for me knowing nothing about me. They voted to make me their nominee for the most powerful law enforcement official in the county, and generally in the state of New Hampshire, because the county sheriffs here are actually authorized for the entire state. It's very weird, and I think New Hampshire is the only state that does it. But it's not just here in Cheshire County where people are doing that. It's all throughout the United States. We have people who don't know anything about Trump or Biden or their senators, probably can't even name their senators or their representatives, and they're voting which one of those people are going to make the laws, not knowing anything about them. And I don't know what to do about that other than get rid of the entire system that allows ignorant people to decide who is going to tell me what I can and can't do.
I agree with you on that one. So, quick question. How do you feel about this whole idea of, separating money from politics?
I absolutely believe in the separation of economy and state. For the same reasons I believe in the separation of church and state. If we're going to have a state, it should pretty much be separated from everything. The economy is what competes with the state, though. So the state wants to control it as much as possible. It starts making this thing illegal, that thing illegal. Then you have black markets that are literally resisting the state pressure. So if we had and the state completely co-opted the economy here, well, worldwide, really, with the creation of the fractional reserve banking system and Federal Reserve banks and all of this nonsense. I'm a strong advocate of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Monero. If we actually had a money that was not at control of the state, then they wouldn't be able to pay for the bombs they're dropping. They wouldn't be able to pay their police departments for being militarized. They wouldn't be able to pay for any of this junk that most people don't want to actually pay for. I think the first step to getting money and politics separate is to separate the state and money. And that we can do that by using something like Bitcoin or preferably Monero.
Yeah, I've never really used Bitcoin before, so I'm not exactly sure how exactly it works. I was trying to get into cryptocurrency a couple years ago, and then I guess you can say there was a conflict between, my family. They're like, oh, well, you got to make sure it's not a scam, or you got to make sure you're not being ripped off. But tell me a little bit more about it, because I'm really ignorant on, on the whole Bitcoin and crypto thing.
I mean, it can be risky to buy Bitcoin if you don't know who you're buying it from or something like that. But there are places where you can go to buy it and be 100% sure that it's legitimate. Cash App, for example, will sell you Bitcoin. I'm not a big fan of Cash App, but okay. Coinbase, I hate them.
No, I do use Cash App, so yeah.
Okay, well, you can buy Bitcoin directly from Cash App. It's right there inside the app. So good on them for that. I'm still not a fan of Cash App because they banned my other account for selling Bitcoin. I was competing with them, so I understand, right?
So tell me,
there's
why?
Coinbase, there's Kraken. There are all sorts of places one can get cryptocurrency without having to meet somebody in a back alley and send them and give them $10,000 in cash and hope they give you Bitcoin. I mean, you can start with $5 of Bitcoin if you want, and you can get it all over the place. Yeah. I mean, you won't get a whole Bitcoin for $5, but you can get some Bitcoin, and that's taking the first step toward having more cryptocurrency and turning it into a currency that is widely usable. Like here in Keene, which is the largest town in Cheshire County, this is like the crypto mecca. I can go buy my cigarettes, I can buy my wine, my Monster energy drinks. I can eat out all using Bitcoin because there are so many restaurants and convenience stores here that accept it because we've been going out there asking them, hey, would you be willing to accept Bitcoin? And enough of them have done it that the only thing we can't buy here is gasoline.
Oh,
we have to use cash for that. Yeah.
They always make it tough, especially when you're buying gasoline.
Yeah. So I think that would be a great step for humans to take. Just stop using the government's money and use something else instead.
I'll have to look into that. I mean, it sounds pretty interesting. Shoot.
Well, that's how the government is paid for all of its wars and all of its militarization of the police. It's inflating the currency because it controls the money supply, and it can do that. You know, it can just create $10 billion to pay for this next fighter jet if they want to, but they can't just create 10 billion in Bitcoin. They can't create any Bitcoin. They don't control it. So if we take away their ability to control and inflate the currency to pay for their nonsense, then we have wounded the state in a way that it hasn't been wounded in centuries. And we can finally put it into some of the war. Because kings did this back in the day. Even when they used gold, they would start adding in other minerals into the gold coins. They would start flipping them. That's inflating the currency, where one gold coin would suddenly be like half the size of a gold coin previously, and it was because they didn't have any way of paying the soldiers that they wanted to go out and fight. States today still do this. They just use paper instead of gold because paper is so much easier for them to inflate. They have to have the gold coin to cut it in half to give one half coin to each of their soldiers. There's no shortage of paper. They can print as much as they want. And now it's almost entirely digital. I think 97% of the U.S. money supply is completely digital. They can just add in as many zeros as they want and pay for their wars forever. And meanwhile, we're just getting poorer and poorer, and people are dying, and no one seems to want to address the root issue, which is that governments are evil.
Especially, with the whole military industrial complex, and how basically all of our politicians, both Democrat and Republican, are benefiting from that. Like, for example, look at the situation we're in right now. Like, we have all these people that are unemployed, losing their businesses left and right, and instead of the government helping out these people, the Democrat Party voted in favor of Pentagon funding during the middle of a pandemic. It makes no sense.
And didn't the Pentagon lose like
exactly? They lost. They were unaccounted for, like, what was it? A couple million, maybe billions of dollars that were unaccounted for. So they were just stuffing in their pockets and taking it home.
Or they're engaging in black ops throughout the world that they can't talk about publicly or won't talk about publicly.
Yep.
Paying for all of these black site prisons to exist throughout the world because they won't put them on American soil, so that's good at least. But is it any better that they export you to Kuwait like you're a package, engaging in human trafficking to send you Kuwait to be tortured in a black site prison there? I don't see that as an improvement.
Nah.
But they do it all the time. And it's got to stop. We're better than this.
Like, all of our politicians are just such hypocrites.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Yeah, they all engage in it. They all benefit from it. They're all part of it. They can't be trusted.
So, like,
and I say this as someone who's running for office. You shouldn't trust me either.
I trust you 100%. Help. We're practically.
I would. Yeah. I mean, I would trust me to be sheriff as well. But in general, people who don't know me, people who are just watching this video or something like that, they should look into me and actually find out if I have a history of standing by the things that I say. And obviously that history is there.
I mean, like, I'm seriously doubt you're taking, like, major corporate money or from any, big institution like that. So
no, I'm not. I'm fighting the financial institutions and have been for the last year and a half by doing everything I can to sell people Bitcoin so that they can get it and use it and get away from these giant mega banks that are stealing from people like Wells Fargo and Bank of America, Chase Manhattan. When I say I'm an anarchist, I also include the financial apparatus in the state system. It all has to be torn down.
So, like, what?
So, yeah,
exactly,
I'm not taking money from Wells Fargo.
So, like, what exactly are your views on, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really consider myself socialist at all. I mean, I still believe in private markets and everything like that. So, like, what would your views be in regards to, socialism? People like, let's say, Sanders, for example.
Sure. Well, I'm a voluntarist, which means that I believe all interactions should be done at the consent of the involved parties. So if people want to come together and have a socialist society, that's fine. I have no objection to that. All I ask is that, all of the people involved in it consent to it. And if they don't consent to it, then let them go on their way. Don't force them to take part in it. I don't think that socialism in the long run is the best economic strategy we could put forward, but if it works, it works. It's not for me to say what economic system other people use. That's for them to decide. If they can make it work, great. If they can't, okay, try something else.
Yeah, because I don't really consider myself fully socialist at all. Don't get me wrong. Do I believe that Medicare should be free? Yes. But do I think that the government should be making cars and couches and video games, just eliminate all the private market? No. I mean, I personally am more of a progressive capitalist. Okay. Pretty much similar to, I guess you can say, Sweden and Denmark. All these are capitalist countries, but because of the, how far our Overton window has shifted to the right, especially here in the United States, many people say socialism, but what they really mean is well-regulated capitalism.
That's true. And I mean, what we have now is definitely not capitalism. It's fascism. It's governments controlling what businesses can and can't do, telling them what they must do, what they must not do. And now, because of these mask mandates, which I'm not against masks, I'm against the government and I'm against mandates, but the way they're enforcing this is by having your Starbucks barista being the one who is enforcing the law. And that's not right. That's literal fascism. We have businesses, gas station employees, restaurant, fast food workers, being told that they have to enforce the law for the federal government or for state governments. And that's wrong. That's literal, actual fascism. There's no separation from the state or these businesses anymore. They are essentially police officers. Gas station workers didn't sign up to enforce the law on people, but now they have to because they have to keep their jobs. And the government comes along and is like, well, you have to do this thing or we're going to fine you thousands of dollars and the employee's going to get $1,000 fine, so they have to do it.
So, yeah, and then if they can't afford the fine, then they could risk getting shut down. That's what I don't like. But at the same time, I'm like, what would be the best way to prevent COVID from spreading?
Sure. Well, we should try to reason with people, and if they can't be reasoned with, then they can't be reasoned with. I know how unfortunate that is, but I don't think being afraid they're going to spread a deadly disease is justification for effectively putting a gun against their heads and telling them to obey.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at, the mask thing the same way I look at the whole, seatbelt thing, it's like, it's a precaution, to prevent you from harming yourself and harming other people. I mean, I don't know, I'm really torn on the whole thing. Like, I wear my mask wherever I go out. If I'm in a store and customer doesn't have a mask on, I'll stay away from that customer. I'm not gonna and say, oh, put on a mask, do this and that. And I'm like, I can't really do that. I mean, it's not my store anyway. That's up for the business owner to do.
Yeah. Well, I try to be non-confrontational anyway. So I mean, if a store wants me to put on a mask to come in, that's their property. I understand. It doesn't really matter whether or not the government is forcing them to do that, or if the business owners also just think all of their customers should be wearing masks. That's not my business. If I need to go in that store, I'll obey their rules. It's their store. They want. I may not like it, but it is what it is. And in the case of masks, I don't particularly care one way or the other. But I'm also a naturalist. But I have to wear a shirt. I'm not a fan of that, but that's the society we're in.
I mean, I the way I see it, I'm like, if the medical professionals say, the masks, could prevent the virus or prevent the spread, then I'm more on the side of, siding with, the scientists and the medical professionals. But,
I would agree entirely.
But another question, what exactly, I mean, this is kind of off topic. What exactly is the Reformed Satanic Church? Because I've heard about the Church of Satan, I've heard about the Satanic Temple, and I've heard about the united aspect of Satan. So, explain to me, to my viewers, what exactly is the your Reformed Satanic Church?
Well, as I understand it, I just learned about the Satanic Temple. As I understand it, the Reformed Satanic Church is pretty much exactly the same as the Satanic Temple. But the Church of Satan, there's so many labels and it gets confusing. The Church of Satan does a lot of really good things, like they fought in the Supreme Court for the right to not pay taxes, which is great. But then they turned around and said, yeah, but we're rejecting that. We're going to proudly pay our taxes. And this is the biggest place where I have. They're proudly paying taxes to a war machine that is literally killing people. They've dropped bombs on Doctors Without Borders hospitals. They dropped bombs on weddings. And the Church of Satan is like, we're going to proudly give these people money to do these horrible, evil things. And I just have to stand against that. I have to stand against giving money to the war machine when I know what the war machine is doing with that money. I don't know how any moral person can be happy or proud about paying taxes so that people abroad and people here domestically be killed, paying taxes so that George Floyd can die. I don't understand how anyone can be proud of that.
I understand. I understand what you mean 100% on that one. You know, a lot of our tax money is being wasted, and you know, it's being used, you know, to harm us rather than help us.
Yeah, we have this mythology in our heads that, you know, paying taxes is good because it goes to public schools and it goes to building roads and bridges and all.
Yep, and then our elected officials want to cut funding for, you know, public schools, and you know, you still see potholes on the road. So where does that money go?
Because like your property taxes in your state or your city or whatever will generally go to funding those things, but the federal income, any taxes paid to the federal government are not going to schools. They're going to bombs. If you want to pay your state taxes or your local taxes, you kind of have to pay your property taxes, or you're going to lose your house, and no one wants to do that. But I mean, them putting a gun to your head and saying you have to give us money, or we're going to take your stuff. And if you resist us taking your stuff, we're going to kidnap you. And if you resist the kidnapping, we're going to kill you. That's the reality of the state and the entire taxation system. People proudly pay their property taxes. I'm okay with it because those property taxes generally don't go to paying for bombs and fighter jets and ammunition to be used to kill people. Sometimes they are, but generally they don't.
Yeah, that's what.
But as far as federal taxes, yeah, I oppose those entirely. And that's why I advocate cryptocurrency. The government can't tax it, not unless we tell them how much Bitcoin we have.
Seems like a pretty logical solution to that. Anyway, only thing is we have to trying to get more people, you know, to invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
Well, ideally, they wouldn't view it as investing. They would view it turning one form of money into another. So they would their U.S. dollars, and not all of their U.S. dollars. We're not at that point yet where you can say, I'm putting all of my money into Bitcoin and we're going to ride this train. That would be silly. But to take some of their U.S. dollars and convert it into Bitcoin in the same way that they would be converting it into gold if they bought some of the Utah gold backs, which I don't know if you've even heard of those. They're becoming more and more well known, but
I heard of them a little bit during the Ron Paul campaign about haven't really followed much up on it.
They're wonderful. It's actual literal gold. They're about the size and shape of dollar bills, and they contain 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. The ones do. One gold back is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. So you're literally carrying around easy to use fungible gold that you can actually spend places. We have a taco place not far from here that will take them for tacos. It's great. So that's a actual physical solution for people who are uncomfortable with the internet money, as it were, which is what Bitcoin and Monero and other cryptocurrencies are. Well, you could still use gold and not be at risk of funding the war machine. Or silver.
Yeah, that's it.
So there are alternative currencies that don't require us to pay into a system that drops bombs on people.
Anything that can disrupt the war machine is something that I support. No.
That's pretty much my position.
Then again, that's pretty much what a lot of what's popular with a lot of metalheads. A lot of metalheads tend to be anti-war, whether it be Iron Maiden, whether it be Megadeth, whether it be Metallica. Shoot.
Or Rage Against the Machine, the big one. I would say.
So I have to ask. This is more of a law enforcement type of question.
Okay.
Has the police department, in your honest opinion, made our lives better or made our lives worse?
When you say the police department, you mean throughout the entire United States, the police system, basically?
Yeah, basically our entire police system.
Yeah, they made it
in regards
exponentially
to
worse.
trading, in regards to how our prison industrial complex, how we treat prisoners, our recidivism.
They've made it impossible. I mean, they have undoubtedly made society worse. The world would be a much better place if there were no police officers at all. We're not in that place. So, okay, we still have to have some sort of police department. Okay, that's fine. But can we limit to just them responding to crimes where there are actually victims, where there is actually a victim who has been hurt or their property has been damaged or they're actually being threatened? Can we try that? Because that's my vision of the police department. Not enforcing these laws, not killing people for selling loose cigarettes, not killing people for vagrancy. None of that should be happening. But a lot of these people who are killed by police, these encounters begin because the police are out there enforcing victimless crime laws. Like, oh, you can't sell those single cigarettes, even though you're not hurting anyone. Yeah. You're not causing any victims. You can't sell those. And now he's dead because of it. Eric Gardner is dead because of a victimless crime law. So that's what initiates almost every police encounter that we see in the United States. And too many of them result in someone being killed for us to allow those seeds to continue being planted. Because too often it grows into someone being killed. So just stop planting the seeds. Stop letting police go out there harassing people.
But don't you think that also, some of our lawmakers and elected officials also play a part in that? They
absolutely do.
I mean, because the way I see it, the police are, just enforcing the law, but it's actually, the politicians that make these laws in the first place. Whether it be the cigarette law, whether it be, our war on drugs. I mean,
and I hate to make the point, but, the Nazi soldiers were just enforcing the law, too. And things aren't that bad here in the United States, but that was the argument they made at the Nuremberg trials. We were just following orders. We were just obeying the law. Okay, but the law is wrong. You're right. Ideally, these city councilors, the state legislators, the federal legislators, the countless three-letter agencies that oversee the United States, largely without any accountability, would repeal these laws that are allowing the police the justification to commit these atrocities in the first place. But what we're talking about there is putting tens of thousands of good, moral people who actually stand by their principles into positions of power so that hopefully they will actually stand by their promises. And that, to me, seems like almost a utopian goal. You might be able to get one of me, a sheriff who goes out to police, but if you want to get 300 of me into the New Hampshire House of Representatives so that these laws can be changed, or you want to get even 15 of me on the city council in Keene, it just isn't feasible. It's not impossible, but it's extremely unlikely.
So, let's say hypothetically, I have high hopes. I honestly really do have high hopes. So I'm really hoping you get in. So, in regards to marijuana and whatnot. So let's say one of your deputies pulls someone over for marijuana. How would you handle that situation?
Deputy's getting fired. I'm not going to have people who work for me harassing people and creating victims. I'm not going to have that. You're fired, dude. You want to pull over that police officer over there pulled over someone for pot. You want to pull over that police officer and give him a hard time. Okay, that's fine. The officer is the aggressor here. But someone who's just got pot or just smoking pot, dude, they're not hurting anyone. Leave them the hell alone. Exactly. You're fired. Because
that's one of the things that, I hate. You have someone who not harming anyone, just on their own private property, either smoking or even if they're growing it themselves, they're not harming anyone. They're not posing any threat to anyone. But yet you're going to put them in prison, and then you're going to put them in with all the violent criminals, and then they get hardened, and then when they get out, all they know is violence and crime, and then the whole cycle repeats itself.
It absolutely does. I'm an advocate of legalizing all drugs, even the ones I don't like. I don't approve of people using crack. I don't approve of people using meth or heroin.
But if they're going to do these, I am. Well, meth is. I heard meth is pretty bad. It's mostly because of the manufacturing process.
Yeah. As I understand it, all three are pretty bad. But if somebody wants to put that into their body, that's their call to make.
Yep.
I don't approve of it, and I don't think that enforcing laws against that is doing any good, because you end up with heroin shortages in Russia, causing people to go into convenience stores to buy some sort of codeine and turning it into this drug called crocodile that literally causes.
Don't even get me started on that crocodile stuff. I saw a documentary on it. It's pretty gruesome.
It's a product of the drug war. If heroin was legal, if Russians could just go into their convenience store and buy some heroin, crocodile wouldn't exist. So you say, okay, but you want heroin to be legal? You want people to just be able to buy heroin? Well, look at the alternative.
Exactly.
The alternative is far worse. Just legalize it. I don't approve either, but I also would argue that, like I always do, that the best way to reach people is not to put a gun to their heads, but to reason with them. Explain to them why they shouldn't be doing heroin. Don't put a gun to their head and tell them you're going to ruin their life if they use heroin. Explain to them that heroin is probably going to cause them to ruin their own life.
Exactly. I actually had lost a friend over this, because they were talking about how in Canada they were relaxing the laws on heroin. And I was like, I think that's good. There needs to be safe injection sites. People need to treat it as a medical problem rather than a criminal problem. And then I mentioned how something like that was implemented in France. And guess what she said to me? She was like, oh, well, just because they're killing each other in France with heroin. I'm like, but I just linked you a study. I sent you a link where that doesn't happen. A lot of the things that we know about drugs, whether it be... Here we're not in New Jersey. We have this thing called the DARE program, where they educate a police officer to come in and educate you on drugs and stuff like that.
Educate.
Yep. Yeah. Most of that stuff was like bullshit, complete and utter bullshit. Because I was reading a book by a guy named Dr. Carl Hard. I'm not sure if you heard of him or not, but
I don't believe so.
I think he's like some sort. I'm not sure if he's like a neuroscience, a neurologist. I'm not sure what he is. He's a very famous doctor, and he was on the Bill O'Reilly show, and he was basically debunking all of the drug myths. He even proved Bill O'Reilly was a liar on his own show.
The best example I can think of what you're talking about in France, where they legalized or they restricted regulations and it actually helped people, is Ross Ulbricht, who is now serving 2 life sentences for creating the Silk Road website. Never hurt anyone. In fact, he helped a lot of people. What he created was a gift to humanity, and he's serving 2 life sentences because of that. There was a rating system. People knew when they went online to buy heroin, when they went onto the dark web to buy heroin, they knew that what they were going to receive was actually heroin, because there were systems of checks and balances in place where that person who sold it needed that positive feedback. Instead of buying it on the street and finding it's laced with fentanyl and oops, now they're dead. We need more Silk Road. We need legalized, open market Silk Roads, not ones that you have to jump through all of these hurdles to get to. And we shouldn't be arresting people and throwing them in prison for the rest of their life because they're trying to help people. And that's ultimately what happened here.
And also thinking from an economic perspective, I personally think that might boost, our economy. Instead of, having all these people, doing things on the black market, have them, open up their own business. Have them, like whether it be a pot business, whether it be I know this is like skeptic. I know this is controversial, but having your own little heroin business, wouldn't it be better, to actually have, an actual business that sells these products rather than, turf wars, gang wars, people going in and out of prison?
I mean, we saw this during the Prohibition era when the federal government decided that they were going to make alcohol illegal.
Exactly. I keep telling them the same thing. It's like the same thing with Prohibition. You had more violence when, people were banning alcohol versus legalizing it.
And it wasn't the FBI or any law enforcement agency that ultimately made that black market go away. It wasn't the FBI or the police that made the criminal gangs and the turf wars and all of that go away. It was repealing Prohibition. Yep. So let's repeal the other prohibitions that are creating these violent criminal gangs that are fighting with one another over turf and over customers. Bring this back out into the open, because Budweiser isn't going around slashing the tires on Smirnoff's trucks or Corona's trucks. Budweiser isn't burning down Coors facilities, but we see this all the time in the drug market. So if we bring these other markets out into the open, we'll see the same thing there. Same thing with sex work.
Yep.
Human trafficking, sex trafficking, it goes down when you legalize prostitution. So
Thank you. I've been saying this for quite a while now. You know, we have to...
But people don't want to hear it.
Because like, it's either they want to be, you know, hate to say this, some people want to be politically correct, or they want to try and make it either a race issue or a sex or gender issue. I'm like, well, you do realize that there are men that are also involved in the sex work, and then you have, you know, all these people that are, you know, you have sex positive feminists and you have sex negative feminism, and I'm like, why don't you just let people do whatever they want with their own body? I mean, we shouldn't be, you know, having any laws saying, oh, well, you can't have sex with this person in exchange for money. But if you have a camera in your room, that's a different story.
That is absolutely the case here in New Hampshire. It's illegal to pay someone for sex, but you can pay someone to record pornography with you. And a former bailiff, I think, in some county actually propositioned this to someone on the steps of a courthouse. So it's absurd how these loopholes exist. But it's absurd that we need the loopholes in the first place. If you want to actually do something about human trafficking and sex trafficking, legalize prostitution. That's the best way to do it. Or elect a sheriff candidate who's not going to enforce laws against sex work.
And that's the thing that, you know, another thing a lot of people don't understand. You know, it's like when I mentioned in my other video about, do Satanists abuse children or traffic children? You know, with this whole QAnon thing, they always want to blame Satanists, but they don't want to actually look at the whole problem. And the problem is like you said, the fact that sex work isn't legalized. You know, when you don't legalize it, and when you shut down all these websites like fucking Backpage, or what was that other website called? Craigslist or some shit like that.
Well, Craigslist still exists, but yeah, they took away their personal section, and it was because of that.
Yeah, and when you do that, all it does is just force all that traffic onto the dark web, and who knows what stuff happens on the dark web. I mean, we all pretty much know. So.
Or out into the streets.
Where it's even more dangerous, you know.
Yeah, it's putting actual sex workers at risk because suddenly they can't screen their customers the way that they could when Backpage existed or when Craigslist allowed it.
Because if you look back in like the 70s and 80s, you know, with all the serial killers, you know, if we're basically going back to that era where now serial killers now have a new host of victims coming out.
Yeah.
Especially if they, well, thankfully, there's enough people out there that are running these types of websites and are finding ways to get around, you know, these laws. So, plus, like I said, a lot of my friends are sex workers. A lot of people that listen to Satanic Panic are sex workers. So everyone knows I'm pro sex work. Same with Andrew Yang. I'm a big fan of his too.
Yeah. I'm pro whatever people choose to do with their own body. I may not personally participate. I may not want to personally do some of those things, but it's only my call to make about me and what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as somebody is happy, then I'm freaking happy for them, and I will support them and their right to do it.
That's the difference between, you know, Satanists and, you know, a lot of other organized religions. They just want to control everything you do, every food you eat, what you wear. I'm not with any of that. Like, just let people do it. As long as they're not hurting anyone, and as long as I don't have to pay for it, by all means.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Do as thou wilt, but harm none.
Yep. So what? I was also looking at your Twitter, and I saw that you had gotten hit with a ban hammer. What was that all about?
Yeah. Well, Facebook hit me with a ban hammer. That was because I received a death threat for someone, and handling it the way I always handle things, I went online. I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I was listening. I was just like, death threats.
Well, it's not something to be taken seriously, right? Because the type of person who's actually going to harm me, they're not going to warn me in advance.
No, so just a bunch of trolls on the internet, keyboard warriors, that type of shit.
So I was making fun of it, and in so doing, I quoted part of the death threat, and Facebook handed me a 30-day ban for it. It's completely stupid. But then I went onto Twitter with a recent post to my campaign site because I want the New Hampshire Republicans to actually explain to me in detail against their platform, and I don't think they can do it because they're supposedly pro-Second Amendment, pro-small government, pro-low taxes, all of which I am. I just take it a little bit further to no government, no taxes, any weapons. But all of that's in line with the Republican Party. I just go a lot further. Them to actually enumerate where they disagree with me and where I don't qualify as being in line with their party. So I tagged them in Twitter with the link to my post, and it vanished. And then I did it again the next day, and I noticed that like right now my Twitter is getting a lot of activity. Like a 4-hour period went by where there was absolutely no activity whatsoever.
Uh-oh.
And then I posted again, and it got buried under my tweets and replies, but it's not right there on my actual main timeline. I don't understand what happened there, but the whole thing was very weird. It appears to be back to normal now, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I think it might have been, a temporary shadow ban, because I've been noticing that both on Facebook and on YouTube. Like, there was a video. I'm not sure if you've heard of the YouTuber named Rose of Dawn. She's a trans YouTuber. She's from the UK. But
Okay.
she basically did this video about, black trans lives, about how, how so many black transgender people are getting killed in the United States. And one of the things that she notices, and I probably will get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but it's true. A lot of the reason why so many black trans women are getting killed is because black men don't want to be honest about what they're attracted to. Now, I tried to write this in the YouTube comments. I'm like, you know what? Black men need to just admit that, that they're attracted to trans women. There's nothing wrong with it. And people are, just trying to be politically correct and sweep this under the rug. I wrote that in the comment section. It appeared for like 3 seconds. I refreshed the page. It was gone. So I sent a message to, Rose. I'm like, Rose, why are you deleting my comments? She's like, I'm not deleting your comments. I think what's going on is that a lot of these social media websites, they're afraid of, hate speech and all that. So they get an AI program to just automatically delete anything with certain keywords in it. Like I got hit with a week-long ban because I used the word men. I'm not even joking. Men.
Facebook accused me of hate speech against trans people. I'm trans. Are you kidding? That's what the ban is for right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah, the political correctness machinations have gone way, way too far. As the victim of these death threats, I should be able to make fun of them.
Exactly.
I don't want to say victim. As the recipient of these death threats, I should be able to make fun of them. And Facebook says, no, because that's transphobic. That's hate speech against trans people. I'm like, I know, that's why I'm making fun of it. If you don't mind, I would like to get back to fighting against this guy in a peaceful way. He got dragged online anyway, so that was great. He's completely locked down his Facebook profile. But yeah, it's absurd.
I think all of this has gotten worse ever since, all of the social media companies just decided to ban Alex Jones. I'm not sure if you listened to Alex Jones or if you
I do
watched
not.
the show.
I'm aware of his existence.
Yeah.
He's entertaining.
Exactly. Very entertaining.
But almost everything he says is incorrect.
Yeah, like he exaggerates. I mean, sometimes he's like a broken clock. He's right, twice a day. But
have you seen the video of him from I think it was where he claims to be seeing Russian jets and Russian tanks invading the United States?
I remember that. Hell, I remember his really, really old podcast when he was talking about how Texas was being bombed or something like that. And it never happened.
Of course it didn't.
Yeah.
So, I find Alex Jones entertaining, but not a reliable source of information.
No.
But yeah, he should never have been banned from Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, and the fact, and what's the scariest thing about that whole situation is that all of these social media companies banned him on the same day at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah. His Facebook, his YouTube. I think it was Apple and Spotify. They all pulled down his podcast, pulled down his videos, his pages, And I think Twitter decided to do that, I think, it was like a week after everyone else did. So pretty much he's only on like
and I mean, this
shooters.
is a result. A trans person being banned for, quote, hate speech against trans people is the long-term result. Once we allow that to be set, like with all institutions of authority and control, they're going to use that precedent, and it's constantly going to be expanded until ultimately you have a trans person getting banned for anti-trans hate speech because she received a death threat and she made fun of it.
And stuff like this is exactly why I identify myself as an absolutist. I don't care. I mean, people say all sorts of, disgusting, hateful comments to me. They might write a racist comment on my YouTube. I just leave it there. I'm not going to delete it. I'm not going to flag it. I'm like, because my thing is this. I don't want to have this hate speech AI go off the rails and start reporting and banning everything. Because, it happened to Leafy is here. It happened to Markiplier. It happened to Thunderfoot. And now it's happening to everybody. I mean, I was just reading a news report the other day. Greenpeace got deleted off of Facebook for hate speech. The environmentalist group.
I'm not surprised. A lot of people, they cheered when, like, Alex Jones was banned.
Exactly.
They're like, yeah, great. I'm like, dude, you don't understand.
Yep, you don't understand what's coming next. That was just the beginning. Now, after they went after him because they knew nobody was going to complain about it, and now they're going to go after everyone else. I keep trying to explain the importance of, free speech on the internet, and people just look at me like I'm crazy, and they don't realize until it negatively affects them, which is something I notice a lot with, a lot of, religious conservatives. They don't understand anything until it affects them. But like, for example, the 10 Commandments, they're like, oh, we need to put the 10 Commandments out there. And then here comes the Satanic Temple saying, you know what, we want a Baphomet statue. And they're like, oh my gosh, now I understand why people want the separation of church and state.
I wish it wasn't necessary to sometimes take things to that point, but like you said, people don't pay attention to things. They don't see things as issues until it personally affects them, which is why so many people aren't on board with Black Lives Matter, because they're not black, so it doesn't affect them. And I'm like, well, they're not an issue right now. It will one day.
Yep. I mean, look what happened to Daniel Shaver. I mean, that was sad. I'm never going to forget that.
I don't recall Shaver's story.
Yeah, I think he was like an exterminator at a hotel, and
this is the guy that had to do the Simon Says, basically, where the cops were like, "Now cross your legs."
That was a sad case.
Yeah, that was absolutely. I mean, they're all sad. They're all tragic, and it can happen to anyone at any time.
Exactly.
So if we have any group of people whatsoever, I don't care what they're calling themselves, I don't care if it's corralling everyone together, anyone is going to speak out against police brutality and actually attempt to hold them accountable, I'm going to stand with those people.
So, like, I'm guessing, like, I mean, I don't know, like, where you stand on this, but because this is a question I have to ask just, for consistency. Do Black Lives Matter or do all lives matter?
Black lives should matter. They currently don't in the United States, and that's the reason that Black Lives Matter exists. It's not a statement. It's an argument to convince people that Black lives should matter. I got into an argument on Free Talk Live with someone about this recently because he was like, of course Black lives matter. They should. But in the United States, the society that is in place, they don't matter as much as other lives. That's the problem here. So, yes.
And just another question. This was actually sent to me by another one of my followers. What is the best way, to bridge the gap between the black community and the police department?
Abolish the police department. Or stop the enforcement of victimless crimes, because police exercise discretion, right? If they see two people breaking the law, they exercise discretion about which one of those people to interact with and which one to look the other way about. And because of the history of racism in the United States and the fact that a lot of police officers are in fact racist, and studies show it, statistics prove it, it's not really even a secret. It's just sort of the elephant in the room that no one wants to address. If the police are going to exercise discretion and they have the choice to pull over or to bother me, or a black man, or Mark Edge, this normal-looking white dude who hosts Free Talk Live with me, they're going to target the black guy first because their biases inform their actions. And even if they don't acknowledge the fact that they're racist, it's going to be there and it's going to inform their actions. So if I'm smoking pot, Mark Edge is smoking pot, and this random black guy is smoking pot, and the police have reason not to pursue all three of us, it's going to be the black guy they go after. And then they're contributing to the elevated black crime statistics. They're harassing a black man, and the black people of the United States, they see this and they say, oh, you're not bothering these white people about these opiates they're buying on the street. No, you're just arresting these black men for pot. Exactly. So the best way to bridge that divide would be you can't take away the ability of police to exercise discretion, but what you can take away is their ability to enforce these laws in the first place by having sheriffs and deputies out there who are actively cop blocking, policing the police, interfering with their, quote, investigations so that they can't get to that point anyway. That, I think, would be the best way.
I think you would make a great sheriff with all that. I mean,
I'm hoping to be.
Because, like, I'm not sure, like, the actual demographics of that, you said, what was this, Keene, New Hampshire?
Yeah. It's largely white. It's very, very liberal, though. New Hampshire itself is a generally conservative state, but it's conservative in the actual libertarian sense more often than not. I suspect a lot of Republicans are going to go in there and vote for me in November, knowing that I'm trans, knowing that I'm a Satanist, and knowing that I'm an anarchist, simply because they also know I'm pro-Second Amendment, and I want them to be left the hell alone, just like I want everyone to be left the hell alone. So there is a lot of that in New Hampshire, but Cheshire County and Keene in particular, they're very left-leaning, but it's predominantly white. There is a strong LGBT community here. I mean, there's no actual community, but there are a lot of LGBT people here. Just about everyone I know is some form of bisexual.
So, like, possibly, like, a lot, you might get a lot over, like, crossover votes and, people from other parties, wait, do they have open primaries in New Hampshire, or is it all closed?
They are half closed. If you're an independent, you can choose which ballot you vote for in the primaries. If you're a Democrat, if you're registered as a Democrat, you have to use the Democratic one. If you're registered as a Republican,
that's how it is in
you have
Jersey.
to use the Republican.
Man, I hate that.
But if you're independent or undeclared, then you can tell the people which one you want. So I do expect, I don't think I got any crossover votes in. Well, I know there were some. Some Democrats wrote my name on the Democratic ballots. I saw that. That was wild. So I do expect going into the general election to get a lot of crossover votes from the Democrats, because I'm certainly far to the left of Eli Rivera. And I expect a lot of Republicans to vote for Rivera simply because he's far to the right of me. But I also expect a lot of Republicans to vote straight ticket. I expect a lot of Republicans to vote for me knowing exactly who and what I am. And who knows what the independents will do. They're like 40% of voters in New Hampshire are independent. A lot of those are libertarians, so they're going to be on my side anyway. How are these numbers actually going to shape out? Will we see more Republicans going to Rivera than we will Democrats going to me? I couldn't possibly make any prediction about what's going to happen, but it's not impossible that I pull over a lot of Democrats, enough to make up for the lost Republicans.
I was trying to do the math all up in my head, and I'm like, she very possibly could win this, and let's say you do win, because I'm having high hopes and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That not only would that be a major accomplishment for Satanists, but and also a major accomplishment for Republicans as well. I mean,
I think Republicans should be all over my campaign. They should be cheering for me and running these news articles instead of pretending like I don't exist. Because this could be the best thing the Republicans ever did. If they want to change their image, if they want to actually appeal to younger voters who are, pro-LGBT things, who are anti-racism, if they want to actually appeal to the younger crowds, then their only option is to support me. If they want to dig in and die on this hill, this transphobic, anti-Satanist, hardcore Christian hill, then they can certainly do that, but they're going to be obsolete, and the Republican Party won't exist in 40 years. If that's what they want to do, they can do that. But they have a choice here where they can support me or they can be against me. And one of these two things will help them, and one of them will hurt them in the long term.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I was hearing everything you were saying. What happened was my soundboard died. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh,
So I wasn't sure if you could hear me all right.
Yeah, I couldn't for a moment. It sounded like you just went mute. But I know how that is. I've got 2 mixers here, and the cats are always walking across them and pushing buttons. And the other day, I didn't know what they did. It took me about an hour to
I remember it was the Bible study one. Yep.
Yeah. I'm doing another one of those Wednesday. I don't know the topic yet, though. So I'm taking feedback from
Wednesday
topics.
too. So yeah, I definitely will be tuning in.
Okay, awesome. As soon as I figure out,
you got some instruments in the back too. Like how many instruments you play?
Keyboard, guitar, bass, drums. So 4.
All right.
Well, I mean 4 if you
Another
count guitar and bass.
multi-instrumentalist, huh?
Yeah, if people look me up on Bandcamp, Aria DiMezzo, I played all.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Bandcamp. Because I was listening to that single, and I'm like, I definitely got to buy this on my next paycheck.
Oh, well, thanks. It's a cover of a Perfect Circle song. The Perfect Circle is my favorite band, hands down. Billy Howardell writes all of their music, and he's hands down the best composer alive, in my opinion. But yeah, it's hard to find people who are competent, and it's hard to just find people in general who have the time to play in a band, and then you have to coordinate schedules, and it's not feasible. So I realized years ago that if I actually wanted to continue making music, it was better to just get a drum set and start learning to play drums. And so that was what I did.
Yeah, I don't have enough space in my flat for it. So I'm like, you know what? And plus my cousin just got me a new keyboard. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just use the tones that are on my keyboard as drums. You know, like, for example, the theme song that you hear in a lot of my other videos, The South of Heaven. Did all of the drums on keyboard.
Nice.
The guitar and the bass and all that I pretty much did on my own. I mean, got those 2 back there, and I got like 4 more off camera. Even
LTDs, aren't they?
Not exactly. They're like, I guess you can say copycats of LTDs. I'm sorry, I'm broke. I'm poor and I'm broke.
No, I feel you. I just recognize it because I've got a red LTD right behind me.
Oh, yeah. I see a little bass on the other side. Wait, is that a bass? I'm not sure.
The 2 over here are guitars. There is a bass leaning on the ground here. Yeah. Well, it's not leaning on the ground. It's leaning against the window. You can't see it because it's not in the shot, but I have an electric drum set. I didn't buy an acoustic one because I didn't want to make a whole lot of noise.
Oh, I know how that is, especially with all the neighbors and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I live next door to an apartment complex, and I've never even spoken to any of them because I'm rarely here at home anyway, but drums are loud. You know, if you're going to have a drum set in your house, you need to go around, talk to your neighbors, make sure they're okay with you playing at these certain times because you don't want to be a dick. So I just went with an electric kit, and I love it. It's an Alesis Mesh X or something like that.
I've heard great things about Alesis.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Back when I was, making hip-hop beats, I had an Alesis drum machine. So.
Yeah, it's a good kit. I enjoy it. I'm not as good a drummer as I would like to be. Like for the track there on Bandcamp, I had to record certain surfaces like separately because I couldn't keep that beat there while keeping this beat here because Josh Freese, the drummer for A Perfect Circle, he's really, really good. You know, you hear him in like 3 Doors Down, and it's not that impressive. But once he gets to playing for A Perfect Circle, it's super impressive what he's able to do. And I can't do it. I'm not as good as he is. So I had to record like 3 different drum tracks. One was like most of the drums, and then the other one was like, okay, this hi-hat right here that's just constantly keeping this 6/8 beat and just never freaking stops while he's doing all of this other stuff. I don't know how he does that, but good for him.
Yeah, drums have always been a hard thing for me to do. Like, even if I'm playing with an actual drum set, or if I'm using the drum keys on my Casio. I mean, sometimes I have to record the drum track like 2 or 3 times, and then sometimes layer it.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than I thought playing bass would be harder, but apparently bass is like a cakewalk compared to playing drums on a keyboard. And I know some people like to do that with ease.
I'm not very good at keyboard. I'm not very good at drums. I can play them, and I do play them, but you don't want me to be a keyboardist in your band or a drummer in your band. If you give me 6 hours to record a good drum section, I can record a good drum section. and the same for keyboard. But if you want me to just sit down and play it all the way through and not make mistakes, that's not going to happen. I can do that with guitar, and I can do that with bass.
Yep.
But I've been playing those for 15 years.
We got so much in common. But yeah, right now I'm working on 2 projects right now. I got one artist out in Kentucky that wants me, to compose music for her because she's starting an EP. And then I have another artist out in New York who wants me to compose, I guess you could say a rock-themed, R&B song for her. So I got a lot on my plate, but I can't complain because, I have all these instruments in so much music saved on my hard drive. I'm like, I'd rather have someone use it rather sing or rap over it,
Yeah, absolutely. I understand entirely. Well, I've got to eat lunch before I go to work, so.
Oh, yes. Yeah, don't want to take too much of yours. Oh, one more last question. Absolutely. Do you have any band that you would recommend for me?
Local band? No, not as yet. I mean, the band where we did the Black Sabbath cover at that festival, Bud, it was something we did together with 5 weeks of warning. None of us had ever played before, but we were just sitting around one night. I was like, hey, I'm a musician. You're a musician. Let's play a show. And 5 weeks later, we played that abysmal, awful, horrible show that I try not to think about.
Hey, that's not even that bad.
Oh, it was pretty bad. The Black Sabbath cover, the War Pigs cover came out decently, but nothing else did. It was just bad all around. I was not proud of it. I mean, it's not, all you can hear is me playing. You can't even hear the drums, and I don't know why. We sound checked extensively 3 or 4 hours before we started playing. But as soon as night fell and we started actually playing, you couldn't hear anything but me. And that's because I was playing through, a freaking half stack that's 220 watts. But still, I wouldn't expect to hear that, not be able to hear the drums over that. So I don't know. There were weird things going on with the acoustics there that night.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The show ended up badly. I'm not proud of it.
Yeah, but at least you got some applause from the audience, right? Or
that's true.
Some of.
I mean, everyone there had a good time. It's not like we had any haters or boos or anything like that. It's just I'm not happy with the videos I've seen of it. So
yeah, well, I mean, that's always how it is, when you're doing, your first show and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in a rap/rock group, and there were lots of malfunctions, and we had. It's not really easy.
No, I remember one of my old bands that was called I over E. We had a few really bad shows, but we also, the more we practiced it, the more we played out. We got used to it, and we started having better and better and better shows until finally someone hijacked our singer to join their band, and that was it. The band fell apart after that. I hate that kind of nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played good shows, but this one was not a good show.
Hey, I'll have to check them out, though.
Yeah. As far as other local bands, I don't really know any in the area. So I wish I had a good one to recommend.
That's all right, though. Hey, maybe we schedule another meeting. Possibly I go on your show. Whatever works best for you. Sure. I mean, I enjoyed this.
I do too. Well, if you want to shoot me an email, we can definitely schedule something.
Perfect.
All right, great.
I'd be delighted.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get something to eat. Thank you so much for having me on. Did you have any?
It was questions? A pleasure. It was a great honor.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here. Did you have any other questions?
Not now. Plus, I could keep going on forever. I'm like the fucking Energizer Bunny.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. I don't want you to starve. All right. It was great talking to you, Aria.
You as well.
And I apologize for mispronouncing your last name in my other videos. I know it's I didn't realize until the last minute it was DiMezzo, not DiMezzo.
Oh, it's okay. I hear it all the time.
I'm so sorry.
I worked with, I did a show called Call to Freedom with this Muslim guy for a year and a half, and the entire time he kept calling me DiMezzo. No matter how many times I was like, dude, it's just DiMezzo. It's just DiMezzo. I don't care. But thanks.
I feel even more embarrassed because I'm part Italian, so I should know how to pronounce Italian words.
It happens.
All right, now.
Thank you again.
Bon
I'm going to go
appetit.
get something to eat. Yeah.
All right, hail Satan.
Hail Satan.